Shut up, all of you. I had someone from Plymouth call it the fucking breakdown the other day, and I'm like, go on, Gillies, show me some level of respect. Ladies and gentlemen, it's the rundown. We're going to be recapping week 11 in Uniball, looking at week 12 and discussing some other things. Obviously, for the first time in a long time, we've got a full slate here. Dylan is back only for a little bit, just as a little birthday treat for himself. He's going to come on 6-0 to 0-6. I would say, how's everyone doing? But most importantly, Dylan, how are you doing?
In general scheme, I'm very excited for the Wrexham game, and that is all I have to say on any footballing matter, no matter which side of the Atlantic.
Yep, that's fine. Jamie, how are you?
I'll be even better if Dylan gives us a birthday hair reveal.
Hair reveal, yeah. You're own 6 now.
I was hoping his hairline had gone.
I still there, don't worry.
No wonder he wears a fucking hat. Like, I know I can't talk.
Oh, I have been wearing a cap for most of the day. I blame myself for it's wet. But...
Mate, I've shaved the blonde mullet off. I'm now corporate Tebs, mate. Even though started a corporate job and quit 2 days later because I just couldn't.
Is it a perm?
Couldn't hack the corporate.
Is it a perm? No, it just looks like this.
It looks like a perm.
Well, it's not.
You look closer to like Corsa Tebs rather than corporate. It's whipping around. Perm.
Oh, mate, don't have your team not concede any walkovers and then get back to me.
Didn't you concede a walkover last year? So.
Shut up. We don't talk about that when I'm in the God's land of Gloucester. So we could quickly going over the week 11 games, and then because I know that Dylan does have to leave because he has to. I don't know what do you have to do?
I'm watching the Wrexham game at some point.
Who have they got?
We've got Blackburn, and if we win this, we have Newcastle at home, which I'm very excited for.
You going to go to that?
If we do it, definitely. I will make the track down.
Glory hunter.
Absolute glory hunter. He's never supported Wrexham before in his life. He just likes Ryan Reynolds. It's a bit mad.
I'm actually from Liverpool.
His bedroom.
Huh? It's somewhere.
Literally, he just started watching Deadpool and he was like, yeah, Wrexham. That's the one for me.
He's not even Welsh.
There we go.
Okay, starting off in the Prem, the Bullets do Bullets things against the Cobras at 76-0. In a surprise to everyone but Jamie, the Portsmouth Destroyers beat the Birmingham Lions 17-6. The Nottingham Gold put up 20 points, 20-14 against Durham. Another strong showing from the Saints, not resulting in a win for the Saints, but still a surprising one. Newcastle 0, Leeds Beckett 48. Should have seen that one coming. MMU 6, Leeds Griffins 22. Not much of a surprise there, but a surprise. Hull, they did manage to pull it off 14-6 over the LJMU Fury. The Nottingham Trent Renegades continue their undefeated streak, beating Coventry 40-7. Sheffield Hallam 44, Leicester 8. Bournemouth fall again to the Demons 17-37. In what I think is the biggest shock of the week, Bath Killer Bees. What has happened? Losing to Bristol 16-0. Don't really understand that. Oxford Lancers' undefeated streak comes to an end 33-14 against the Hurricanes. The Brunel Burners beat the Reading Knights 12-9. Kent Falcons 30, KCL 21. Close game. Stirling smashed the Bulls 34-0. And the UEA Pirates beat QMBL 24-0. In Division 2, Lincoln's double headers, they fall to the Nottingham Green 30-7. Thank God this game was stressful. Don't understand how Gloucestershire did it. I told this to the players' faces in the handshakes afterwards. Gloucestershire Gladiators 28, Plymouth Blitz 12, Canterbury Chargers conceded a walkover to Kingston. Solent beat the Chichester Spitfires 21-7. Surrey Stingers do not beat Brighton and end the undefeated streak 28-20. In the main event of the weekend, Bath Spa Bulldogs beat the Worcester Royals 14-12. The UE Bullets 2s. Now, this is a surprise, and I will talk about this because obviously I've got a very tasty live stream game this week. The UE Bullets 19, the Swansea Titans 21. Swansea have now been conceded on quite a lot. Derby Braves 30, Lincoln 0. Not a good week if you're glory supporting the Colonials like I did. Northumbria Mustangs put on an absolute clinic against their biggest rivals, 72-0 for the Mustangs over the Centurions, and the U Clan gets another walkover victory, this time against Staffordshire. So, oh yeah, and Edinburgh beat, what do they do? Edinburgh beat Napier
8-0.
8-0,
Most glorious
and then
Scottish
and
football.
then in Div 2 in the Coldham's Cup, ARU and Cambridge, which, I did miss out, and they were like, no, Chris, Tebs, you've got to do this. You've got to cover it. 14-14 draw. Don't ask me to cover it. Don't ask me to cover the game if it's going to be 14-14. Obviously, you didn't know, but if there's an opportunity for it to be 14-14, don't ask me to do it, because now that Coldham's Cup is probably at someone's gaff now. It's in their garage. Like 14-14. Anyway, Edinburgh.
I was in attendance. It'd be a disgrace to not spread the news of this game. I genuinely believe there's an argument that says, for all the wrong reasons, that the Scottish division should be streamed weekly, because you have never seen anything like this. I'm going to say it was a windy day, very, very windy. I think around a 30-mile-an-hour wind. It was just a pure rugby union style kicking battle. Edinburgh eventually won the kicking battle. The only touchdown of the day coming from Napier had a punt with a punter in his own end zone. From what I've been told, one of the Shield accidentally stepped in the way of it, blocked it with his arse, ball down, Edinburgh dive on it for a touchdown. Beautiful start. Get the 2 points. Go back downfield. I think 10 minutes in the fourth quarter, Napier take inspiration from Damar Hamlin. Go for the fake punt on 4th and 5 for next to no reason. No idea why. Pull it off, then lose the ball next drive. It goes back. Edinburgh have the ball to win out the game with 2 minutes left. The quarterback, I think he bailed out of a throws an interception to the D end of Napier.
Strong.
Who comes downfield. Strong throw. Huge. Into wind.
Couldn't be you,
He
mate.
gets downfield. Could not be me. I throw interceptions to the safety. That's where the interception comes in. Most games. Didn't actually last game. So we're getting better. But he works his way down the field. I think it was 2nd and goal, and they are screaming at him to spike the ball, take a second, out of timeouts. QB gets confused, presumably new to the sport, has been taught, takes a kneel. They then scream at him to spike it again immediately. Kneels it again, so it's now, I think, 4th and 6 on the goal line. Throws it to, it didn't look like we were in the area. Ref decide, awful way to end the game. Throw a PI. And it ended on a Napier outside run tackle for loss. But the double QB kneel is possibly the most dramatic crowd reaction I've watched to a game in my life ever.
There you go. That is why
And
sometimes.
that is why we should stream the Scottish League
Yeah, you
consistently.
know what? As much as you've said that, that's not going to make me drive the old I-10 up to Edinburgh to watch a QB double kneel when he should have spiked it. But we move on again. Scottish division looking a bit weird. I mean, 8-0 victory for Edinburgh there, but beat Stirling. Just give it to Glasgow, for God's sake.
Edinburgh have not conceded a score since us on the 5th of November. They've gone 14 quarters without conceding that.
Just give it to Glasgow. Let's stop. Just give it to Glasgow. Realistically, the big scores obviously going to move on. What's everyone's thoughts on Durham? Obviously, not the season that they wanted, but very much middle of the road. Basically, what everyone's predicted. But the last 2 weeks, taking the big boys, very close.
They're better. I think that's the big thing from last year. They were much better. I wouldn't be surprised because they're going to play SGS first round.
Yeah.
I won't be surprised if Durham win. I don't think SGS would win based on how close it was last year.
Yeah.
And if you're looking at Durham from last year, Durham weren't that good. And then SGS it's difficult to judge SGS because nothing changes down there. in the sense of the results are the same every single week, every single year in that division now, other than the three at the
Yeah.
bottom doing whatever the fuck they're doing. So I wouldn't be surprised. Would not be.
But how annoyed are you going to be when people call it an upset? You know, in first week of the playoffs
Well, don't beat
or
SGS.
second week. Yeah,
I'd argue people don't know football.
basically, get good.
It happens every
Yeah,
year,
get
though.
good.
Like Durham start off and everyone goes, oh, they look a bit shaky. And then by the end of the year, everyone goes, actually, they're quite good. And it happens
Yep.
every single year that they just get better. And it's because of the way that their offense is, and they have a very complex offense. They always do, because that's what Westy has. Is it's a really complex offense that he pulls out. So then at the beginning of the year, when they've got all these rookies and they've got the team that half of them play lacrosse over the summer, so they don't actually train, and then they bring them all together and they go, hang on, this doesn't work. But as soon as they have a bit of a break and they work on it, it works. Like, it's the same cycle every single year.
So moving down, obviously, into the Southern Prem, the big game in the Southern Prem this week. You know, Bullets, Cobras. Well, yeah, we knew how that was going to turn out. Even though UE didn't have a quarterback, they still managed to pull it out. Birmingham Lions versus Portsmouth Destroyers makes it all very, very interesting for a Super Bowl matchup or Super Bowl weekend matchup between the Cobras and the Destroyers. I thought Birmingham would take that at home. Portsmouth proven to be the better squad. What does it look like? What does the future look like come February 12th? Who's staring down the barrel?
Who's bottom of the Prem South?
Yeah.
I reckon. I think the wooden spoon is going to Brum.
But is that
Based on-
because you want it to go to Brum?
No, I don't want it to go to Brum. It would be. I think from the maths, it works out to win. If you've got three teams on a tie and they've all beaten each other twice each way, it then goes into points for between those three teams. So it discounts the entirety of the UE games and the SGS games. Now, from the essentially for Brum to not finish bottom, they would need either A, Portsmouth to win, or B, they need to make sure if Cardiff win, Portsmouth don't score more than 8 points. If they do, Brum's at the bottom of the league. But with the national prem and all that kind of stuff, it doesn't matter, does it really?
No, like if that National League goes ahead, I imagine both teams are going to be. They're not going to be going down.
It won't matter if the National League doesn't happen, because if UEA are the team that are going up, they'll refuse to go up anyway, because as they've shown, they just don't want it. So it'll stay the same anyway.
Yeah, but here's the thing: I'm still backing Exeter to be that squad.
UE, I don't see UEA going up.
No,
they can clip this right now and they can go out in the second round. Doesn't matter.
And they will send it to you and you inevitably get knocked out of the semi-finals.
he's got you there,
It
mate.
doesn't, Frankie. Doesn't count, Frankie. Read the regulations. Look at him.
Can we have the comments on the thing, please? Because
Yeah, of course you can.
Look at him. He doesn't know ball. He just needs an American to do the maths for him. Terrible.
Also, this is a mad comment, considering that you're on the show. Why'd you comment when you're on the show?
You were talking. I didn't want to. I thought it. I didn't want to say it. I thought we could come back to it in case I forgot. So
Do you want
there
to
it
read
is.
it? Do you want to read it out?
I mean it. Look at. He's adorable. I've got on my phone. The reason that I said it is because I paused it in this position right here, and it was
How
a proper
everyone else is face palming as well.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
So again, not much else really going on in the Prem. You know, Leeds beat Newcastle. You know, in the ID revenge game, and
They take their IDs.
Oh, I bet they did. Someone get on Newsflash. It'll be on there. In terms
Did anyone
of
get arrested this week?
sorry,
Did anyone
anyone
get
get
arrested?
arrested? No, I feel like we would have heard about it by now. So if the Blues and Twos turned up to a game, you know, Div 1 wise, you know, MMU Leeds, yep, Hull LJMU. Especially considering one thing. Sorry, I've misplaced one of the scores. LJMU beat Liverpool 20-0. which I think is a bit mad. Again, if there was going to be police called, it would probably have been to that game. So
apparently, with that game, because obviously it hasn't been covered because it was last Wednesday, that game, apparently, because Raptors head coach was reffing, and any chance it got to get in a slightly bit scrappy, like, basically called a timeout that wasn't a timeout to have a go at his own team. It was just the most botched ref game you'll ever see. And it should have, apparently, this is coming from LJMU's side, is it should have been closer to 50, but they had like 40 touchdowns disallowed, and it was all just a massive load of bullshit. But they won, and I don't think they care. I think having 3 games in 8 days is as them in the arse, and obviously you've got to respect it, because they could have just taken a walk over and been like, fuck it, we're not going to shoot ourselves in the foot here, but they didn't. They went down swinging, and everything I've heard from both sides from Sunday was it was once again a really physical game, but ultimately LJMU have played 3 games in 8 days. So,
but yet you will still say that Lincoln are fucking dickheads. They did the exact same thing.
No, but Lincoln are rats, mate.
You're a dickhead, mate. Dickhead.
Do you know the reason there's so many weird results? Like the Northern this year is bizarre. The Scottish division,
Yeah.
there's been so many odd, like keeping track, because you had Edinburgh beating Stirling, who's beaten Glasgow, who's beaten Edinburgh, all of which have ran it close with one of the other teams, where it's the most odd division at the moment. And I know the Northerners are the same, like LJMU. I've just seen the 3 and 4. I thought they were having a far worse season, and they seem to just pick up random wins and then lose to Hull, who are doing good from what I.
Yeah, again, I know that it's going to become as a. I can't believe I say this. Hull are doing quite well. It's a bit mad. I didn't see it coming. Again, I thought it would be, Coventry and Hull would be the 2 teams, but fair enough to the Sharks.
Apparently, I haven't looked at it, but apparently they'd need to beat Leeds, which I don't think will happen. But there is a very slim chance that they can actually not go down despite having that -1, which, if they somehow manage to pull that out, that would be the greatest escape of them all.
100%. It would be absolutely phenomenal if
That'd
they
be
could pull it off.
Level, like, that'd just be ridiculous.
But, everything else, I think Hull beating LJMU again, I didn't see it coming. Just for fair fucks to Hull. Exeter beating Bournemouth, that basically cemented the Exeter, that is their division now. Sorry, Coach Rains. But it's looking that way, that Exeter are exactly what we have said they are. And speaking of head coach, the Exeter Demons on next week. So, and basically say, how much money should we put on the Demons to make the Southern final? Midlands, again, we're looking at that. Unless anyone's got any notes, I don't think there's much to talk about. Exactly what we thought. NTU smashed the Jets, and the Sheffield Hallam Warriors smashed the Longhorns. Yeah. Again, no one got anything to say? No, didn't think so. Yeah, pretty simple
stuff. An interesting season.
Bath Killer Bees losing to Bristol. Bristol get their first win of the season. What? The Bath Killer Bees looked, especially the first half, looked very, very, confident and like in against Bournemouth the other week, right? The first game with Bristol, I think Bristol are just Bath's boogeyman team, because the first game went to a draw, and now this one they lose. Don't get me wrong. I'm fairly certain Bristol are going to be going down, but how? Was someone not playing?
They beat them.
I don't know. Is someone not playing?
Also, I made an error with the Prem stuff. It appears American football have their own rules. Who would have thought?
Oh, okay.
But it is actually based on points against per game entirely. So, sorry, Frankie. Keep going about your business.
Oh.
Why did you say both names, Warwick? I'm struggling to understand. If you've tagged me, I won't see it because I'm still blocked on the Facebook Sport Tag.
Are you?
Yeah.
Okay. I'll get that sorted. I think I was supposed to sort that a while ago, and I've not. And I didn't do it. I'll sort it after this, probably. Hertfordshire put an end to Oxford Lancers undefeated streak. Again, Lancers, don't get me wrong, they're not winning by a lot, but not particularly surprised. What does it mean for our darling Brunel Burners? We don't know.
We're
I'm
still
sure.
in the fight. Come
Okay,
on.
there we go.
Yeah.
And obviously, Brunel beat Reading 12-9. And I mean, I saw a good play from it. I was sent a good play. Very nice.
I was working it out last night, and our division is in a really weird position where, because of teams' records, is actually basically the team that's going to finish number 8 in the playoffs in the South is pretty much locked in. It's very difficult. It's impossible for anyone from our division to finish 8th. It's also impossible for any of them to finish 6th because of the Kent walkover. So, when you realistically, it's actually potentially finishing 3rd or finishing 1st might actually be better than finishing 2nd. It's really strange. It's really, really strange because of how playoffs work and who gets home seed.
But basically, what team is going to be sending like a 20 pack over to the Kent Falcons as a thank you for fucking up the bus or whatever it was?
Queen Mary. Queen Mary.
No, Queen Mary.
You've got a strong possibility that KCL get in with a 3-4-1 record.
And the worst part is that I felt so bad because I felt maybe it was a bit harsh to KCL in the off season. Instantly relegated. You're instantly relegated. No,
we were.
Yeah, so do I. I think that's fair to say. But stand by it. Stand by it. Somehow you'll manage to get relegated. No, I'm joking. Div 2. The dream run that could have been for the Lincoln Colonials did not come to fruition, losing to Nottingham and then getting shut out by Derby. Was mentioned on the commentary for Lincoln versus the Green. There were some gold players down, but as it gets to the end of the season, can't be much of a surprise. But still, it's not confirmed yet, but it are going to be promoted and be the first seconds team to get to Div 1. I may have had them to win it this year. I know that you lot had Derby. Get in. I think so. Not. What's up?
Talking about the twos teams,
Mhm.
Has anyone confirmed that old Jadrian didn't play for the Pellets?
Okay.
He didn't play for the Bullets, and then they scored points.
I'm fairly certain that, to be fair, that if you watch the Swansea versus Bullets game on YouTube, which it is, like Yui got the first touchdown, and I think they just kept it rolling from there. First points, it was a fun touchdown. I think the Bullets twos just kept the momentum going from there. Like the first points Swansea have conceded, obviously that's going to sting. There you go. I was there. He was not. You can't, just because the Bullets two score points, you can't immediately turn around and go, Clark was playing for the twos. Yeah.
Can you imagine trying to explain like the glitz and glamour of
Stop
being
commenting, this person. Stop commenting.
of being a star QB, and then your family try FaceTime you, and you just stood in the middle of Swansea. Like,
Yeah, first
town.
Yeah, first score from. But the problem is though, wouldn't it just be? I would love to just see it once. Just give me one half of the Bullets ones against anyone, even. I mean, even Gloucestershire. I mean, the game's played now, so can't be done. But just be funny. Just put the firsts in for a half. That would be funny.
What? Jeez, how long do you think your body would last playing centre against the Bullets ones?
2 snaps hard.
Nice.
That the pain would get hit so hard again that it'd come back. I think I'd probably start crying as well if I was lined up against the Bullets ones players. I've stood on the sideline for one of the Bullets games, and I almost started crying because they were just near me. I was like,
They hit you with a clip depth. You don't know where I'm from, dog.
I'll put it like this, mate. Like I feel like some of the Bullets ones players, they could just like shoulder nudge me in the street, and my whole body would turn to dust. So, like, I'm not about playing them. Do you see this face? This is not a Premiership 2 mentality.
I do actually respect that Cardiff still banter about with it, despite because it's got to be brutal going out there and getting hit constantly. Just it can't be fun in the slightest, and yet they still manage to sort of banter it around.
It's fun day out, mate. Get your facts right.
Cardiff's special teams on their Instagram stories was just the funniest shit I've ever seen. It's the first one where what looked like an O-lineman that's never played there before runs up and trips over his own teammate's legs, and then in the next one just absolutely levels someone off the ball, and they just clearly didn't know what he was doing. He was just flying into people, and it was unbelievably funny.
Moving on to some of the other ones, obviously, like Solent versus Chichester. You know, fair enough, Chichester getting a score. That sounds harsh, but it's actually not. I mean, Surrey, 20 to 28 over Brighton, but I'm still banking on.
That one.
Here's one of the things I'll keep hyping it up because I want to. Sussex versus Brighton, Super Bowl Sunday is our live streamed game for that day. I'm looking forward to it. I think that's going to be an absolute corker. I do think Brighton take it, but I love it when games come down to the final. Divisions come down to the final day. In the main event, we will talk about it, even though it's a Div 2 game that's got no stakes. Yeah, that's fine, Dylan. You can just say that. Dylan has to go because he's.
It's all about. I was all about continuation. That's why I typed. I thought it's fine.
No, it's fine. Brighton win the. I don't know, the Shitter Bowl. I don't know, but Dylan's gone. You could have said goodbye, dork.
I'm sorry.
Oh, okay. Bath Spa beat Worcester 14-2, and the Royals will be the team that looks to be going defeated this year. Yeah, just funny. They were bigging it up on social media. I thought I'd give it a shout out. Good on Bath. Now, probably one of the biggest scores to take away from the Div 2 this weekend was the aforementioned Bullets. Obviously, Swansea undefeated, hadn't conceded a point up until this game. Bullets 19, Swansea Titans 21. Very, very close game, even coming to an onside kick for the Bullets 2s. But, it's going to set up a very, very interesting game for this weekend, which I think, as everyone knows, will be being streamed. It is the Gloucestershire Gladiators versus the Swansea Titans. That will be being streamed. And it will also include a 3-hour comedy set from me as I try and not swear and not reveal anything about my friends on the team as I go through. So there you go. That's our live stream game for this week. I mean, I would ask you two if you've got anything to say about the Southwest 2, but I imagine
I'm just looking at it now. It's
tight, isn't it?
It's Swansea's, really, isn't it? Is it too early to say that?
So here's my reasoning, right? I will say this with complete honesty. I didn't think Gloucestershire were going to beat Plymouth, and obviously being there, I was surprised. How they managed to do it. Especially that scoreline, considering that the scoreline was very close last year. I didn't think Gloucestershire would beat Plymouth, and I told that to players' faces again. As soon as the game ended, I was like, I can't believe you've just done that. And then coming off Swansea, concede. I think that's what makes it very interesting, because what I think is going to be an issue with Gloucestershire is they're going to be confident coming out of that game with the Blitz. And they're going to be confident seeing that scoreline against the Bullets, a Bullets team that Gloucestershire shut out and won 8-0. I think they're going to get too confident looking at that Swansea score. They're going to get too confident looking at their own score and forget the fact that Swansea are the biggest, and the game will be the game. And I know that some of you Gloucestershire Gladiators are watching, and I fucking say it to you tomorrow in classroom as well, dickheads. But yeah, that's how I look at it. I can put it to this: my housemates are watching this on the TV in the living room outside. I can hear it, which is really, really annoying. So if you could turn it off, that'd be great.
Can we just talk about the fact that Jamie's literally tucked in bed, like he's got his covers on and everything? It's
Jamie, what's the time where you are?
7 minutes past 10.
Right, that's why he's a teacher, for crying out loud.
Chris's flatmates, could you play a game where you try and get as close to Chris's back as you can through that door during the stream? If you're listening.
because I can't see Dylan, it just feels
I
like
know, I'm coming from behind the grave. I am just wiping on my shoes. Don't worry. It's because it's still here.
This is why having Dylan on the show is great, because it just...
I am whacking on my shoes.
Where are you going to watch this
You know
Wrexham
what,
game?
your Facebook came up. There's something so funny about Liz in Doha from Kendall. You might be the first man to ever do it.
What?
If you look at Tree's Facebook, it comes up just saying lives in Doha from Kendall. It's an upgrade. I'll give you that. Nothing more on the matter. That's me done.
Double. What's his national insurance as well, Dylan? But obviously in Div 2, obviously the other big one, or the last big one coming out of it, Northumbria smashing York Centurions 72-0. You know, I said it multiple times in the lead up to that game that I thought York were the last roadblock in Northumbria's way. Mental.
They got slapped up, didn't they, to say the least?
Absolutely slapped up. You know, bullets level scores. You know, I think Northumbria, you know, they've got to be the favourite going into the Northern playoffs, which they are going to get, and they're going to be getting promoted. And, you know, Northern won next year.
I think they beat UClan, you know. All season, I didn't think they would. I didn't think they had a chance, but I think they beat UClan.
It's going to be a great game. Obviously, like, we have still got to contend with. So I was talking some of the guys from UClan, and they're like, we've got the potential to win the division, but only playing 3 games because of. And that seems to be the case for UClan. There's always like an issue with walkovers. Like normal, don't get me wrong, some, but that's by the by. But they could win the division only playing 3 games. You know, but then are they going to be prepared for that big game against the Bombers, which I believe is a Super Bowl? It's a Super Bowl Sunday game. UClan versus Lancaster. For the division, both are undefeated as it stands. You know, but is the lack of game time going to be an issue for them?
No.
You know, I don't think so, because, you know, as we had Sam Bloomfield on the show, and he, you know, basically laid out his plans for UClan. You know, anything short promotion this year is a failure for UClan. I don't think they personally. So we're just going to move to the middle segment, where just a look into the future, because sometimes we just, you know, go back and forth between the games this week and next week. Next year, obviously, there are some changes coming to the landscape. Obviously, we're not going to count the National League in this, because the National League could be a stream all on its own if it comes in. But the big one for me is obviously there's one that's 9v9. We'll move in Div 2 to 9v9, which, you know, has been spoken about for, you know, a fair few years. But what's your opinions on potentially moving Div 2 to 9v9?
Well, it's not happening, is it?
No.
So it's hypothetical.
But there's rumours.
This is hypothetical, then, I guess.
Or use your imagination.
It depends, because if it gives teams the ability to participate, that's what it comes down to. It comes down to where do you sit in terms of participation and performance. Now, if you were to do 9v9, you potentially argue that for that to happen, you probably need a completely separate division and a separate entity in itself.
Yep.
You know, you wouldn't. I think that's probably what it would be. If you were to do it, it would be a completely separate league, and it is division 3, I guess. But you don't get promoted out of that until you can prove that you are going to be able to play with 11 on 11 the following year. That's probably the better way to do it. If you were to just say, oh, it's, Division 2 is 9v9 and then it's automatic promotion into 11v11 the following year, that team's going to go down again every year. So
the issue is saying that you have to prove it is uni's such a fluctuating thing that even if you did do that, if you're saying that you have to prove for like 2 seasons in a row that you've got enough players, by the time 2 seasons are up, all them players that have proved it have gone.
Yeah, it's. I think the thing with American football is it's different from other sports in Bucks in the sense that you can. There's regulations in other sports about the team size, and by team size that means the people that are on the pitch at the time. So, for example, I think football, you can technically play a game with 7 people. It's shit, but you can do it. Whereas with American football, there's nothing like that, and that's for the obvious reason that it becomes, if one team's got 11 and you've got 9 or you've got 8, what's the point? It's dangerous, if anything. So I think that's why it becomes a difficult argument of how do you actually get it implemented in the first place. And like I said, a lot of people will argue against it, but it's like I said, if it boosts numbers up and it boosts the number of people that can play the sport over the Uniball season, then fair enough.
If you put a gun to my head about what is more likely to happen, I would say that they would that Tony would get a bit of a hard on and try and make teams go into flag, and because they're having that big push on flag, and I don't think that they'll go to 9v9. I don't think it's ever going to happen because I think there'll be that much resentment to it. It's just not going to happen. But I think that the overall alternative, which I don't agree with it and all this, but I think that they will try and having a bit more of a flag league, and pushing that into an actual thing.
This one's interesting. I mean, would it though? Because if you think about it, that's only if you were to take away how many players you'd have on a pitch, that's 4 less of the 22 you'd normally have on it. So it's not, for a team to make a 9v9 team on top of their 11 on the 11 team, you'd still need an 80-man, 90-man roster almost to consider it. I think otherwise it's no point. Will you fuck off, Dylan?
9v9 is a phenomenal idea. I mean this. I don't think especially up here in smaller unis, I'm not sure it was ever big enough to split up cities. I've made this point before. UWS could do 9v9 along with many other teams. If we actually want to grow the sport, I don't think that we were ever big enough to split up the cities. Edinburgh, the team, would be able to do a proper pro with teams. Same for Glasgow. That would also mean another 4 unis would be able to play. I don't think we're very good at growing the sport, and I do think 9v9 would help. That's my 2 pence. I was listening on the way downstairs.
What the answer then is full Scottish independence and Scottish division just becomes 9v9 and everyone else plays 11 on 11?
I think everyone agrees with that.
And I think
Listen, you're looking at the North having the same walkover issues. There is something about, I think, in terms of, we're talking about growing the sport. You're not going to do that by, especially, what's the team squad limit next year? It's going up again. Like UWS trying to get a team this year, that's putting them fully in the mud. And I get the sort of safety issue, but there needs to be a way around that as well. There's no way we can just say, right, if you cannot play unless you can do these numbers in this incredibly niche cultish sport, which is what we play. We like it, we do a good job of it, but that's not the same case for everyone. And I think sometimes in this bubble we do forget that. It's not, having been a president, it's a stressful thing. It's not easy to convince people to play American football. I think 9v9 would definitely help more people playing.
For me,
come on the town, I'm heading off. I love you all. Ta-ra.
Right, in a bit, Dylan. Thank you for coming on.
Have fun.
He just said we do a good job of it. I don't think that's
a big fan.
To generalize himself into a group of people there, because the 0-6, come on.
I think
it's all about the jump up. I agree with SJ in the sense if it is going to be a thing, then it has to be a new entity as opposed to forcing teams that are on the cusp. Because if you look, let's say hypothetically, it happens, right? So UClan go up, Lancaster put up great numbers, only lost to UClan. They stay down there 9v9 now. Then you've got York or Derby or Lincoln or Sussex or Brighton, dependent on who goes there, or Gloucestershire or Aberystwyth or Plymouth, all going to nines when, you know, there isn't that much of an issue, or there isn't. Well, don't get me wrong, there has been an issue in numbers, and then the teams that, you know, are still fighting for those spots and are, you know, making playoffs consistently, but just can't overcome you know, a top team. You know, is it then fair to them?
I think this AF's got. I think that's the big thing, isn't it? Is linemen, but I would argue that before you get a 9v9, you're probably more likely to get a 7v7 or 5v5, and it's like a Bucks event where they do it for other sports. There's Bucks events where it's short, smaller teams like basketball 3-on-3. That's what you're more likely to get than a full-scale 9v9 league.
I don't think the difference between 11s and 9s is big enough to make a league, to make it a rule. If you were doing it, you'd have to go to something like 7s, surely.
Yeah, that's more where I was leaning towards now.
Yeah.
Glenn's point is an interesting one because, yeah, there is, but when it's Bucks, there's a difference between the two. You know, Division 1 and above is performance. Anything below that is considered participation. So this league will go in, if it was participation, and it's fine. The leagues Division 1 and above, I would say, are in a very good spot in terms of, you know, if you're talking performance compared to where it was, you know, potentially when I started in 2016. You know, the teams in 2016 would get absolutely dicked on by the teams now.
Yep.
So I think there's ways to grow both at the same time. Because at the end of the day, like, it's the more people you have involved in the sport, the better, I suppose. But it's you're never going to find a solution, I think, that pleases everyone. But at the end of the day, I think if it gets more students able to play the game, but then you have the argument of how do you get referees. So there's so many more steps into it than and that's the challenge more than anything at this point. I think is referees, and there just isn't enough of them.
So I'm going to take away from the 9 versus 9 and move on to one that is happening, as opposed to a hypothetical. The coaches, or at least one level 2 coach at each squad.
Is that one? I should know this considering I've read the bloody papers on it, but I can't even remember. But is that a case of it, they need to have a level 2 at the start of the season?
No, I'm pretty sure it's that they could, because of how, from what I gather, because it was talked about last year when I was president, it was talked about bringing it in, then they pushed it back because it wouldn't have worked. There was not enough people. And the impression that I got was that because their books are paying for people to go through coaches courses, I don't know whether it was as much of a thing this year, but I think that they're planning on bringing it back. And the talk was that they were going to get a level 2 from all of the Prem and level and Div 1 teams, especially, to try and make sure everyone had one, and they'll fund it. So I think if you're enrolled in it and you've got a level 1, you're enrolled in a level 2, I think that
putting the effort in, isn't it? Rather than just saying you need a level 2 coach right now.
Exactly. Because so many teams would crumble if you had to have a level 2. Like you wouldn't be able to do it.
So let's take that point. How, do you think there is like a potential for, you know, there to be an exodus of teams? Obviously, we're looking more to Div 2 here.
I think if there is, it's because, you know, if the rule is, you know, Bucks will fund for you to be on a level 2 course from the start of the season, and that person who is a level 2 coach in progress counts as your level 2. Then there's zero reason for there not to be a level 2 coach on your team. If your team collapses as a result of that to me says you've got a coaching staff that don't want to put the effort in to make sure that your team is able to still play. That I don't think that's even been harsh. I think that is just the harsh reality of it. Is if you can't be asked to get yourself a level 2 and it's being paid for, you know, what's the excuse? Oh, it takes a lot of time. Okay, that's fine. You've got the whole year to do it. You know, I think that's. Am I right in saying that with level 2s and 1s now is they're a bit more? You can dip in and out almost, can't you?
There's certain days where you have to go to the courses, but then it's kind of like coursework where you can work your way through it at certain times.
Yeah, so it's, like so people come and go, oh, I have a job, I have this and this, and I have this and that. Well, you've got the summer, I guess, to get it done. It's you know what I mean. I think people find an excuse as to why they can't do a level 2 course.
So I'm playing devil's advocate here. What about these coaches that, again, especially on a Div 2 level, don't get paid, and then they're having to take now even more time out to do this outside of their normal quote unquote working hours as part of the American football team for the university?
I suppose that's the challenge, and I think that's the position that I think Uniball is in at the moment with coaches. Is a lot of teams have got great coaching staffs, but I think with experienced coaches, but you've also got those that have experienced coaches, and they just have alumni as their their head coach or their coaches, and that's so not having that money probably is going to deter people to not want to do that as well. Because it's like, well, if I'm putting all this effort in and I'm not actually enjoying that, what's the point of me still doing it? I think that's what you find a lot of coaches getting into myself at the moment is, I'm not enjoying this anymore. I'm not getting paid, so what's the point?
Yeah.
So it's yeah, but then you can't afford to pay all your coaches, can you? Because there's so many coaches to try and pay.
Yeah.
Then just pay your head coach. Chances are everyone else is going to whine about why. Well, I'm the OC. Why does he get paid just to be the head coach? So it's a tricky one, but do your level 2.
Yeah.
That's it, really.
I think that's that's takeaway. If you get, they'll let you have it for free.
But I also think if you said to the SU, like, I want a bit of funding, I'm the only coach on the team, I need to do this level 2 as well. I'm fairly certain if you've got an SU that cares about numbers anyway, they'll help you out.
Ours didn't. Ours they had a coaching grant, and we said, well, can we put through an extra person on the course? It was when we had 2 level 1s for free. We're like, well, we had 3 coaches that needed to do it. We're like, can we put the 3rd coach through on it? And they were like, no, because we don't know they're going to stay around. And we're like, yeah, but that's more likely to keep them sticking around is if you're treating them well. And I think there's quite a few unis that are like that, where they go, well, no, they're nothing to do with the uni, so no. It's like, what?
I think that's the thing with a lot of SUs. It's like, well, we're here for the student. The clues in the name of what we do, but then not realizing that for this sport, you need the coaches to be able to make things happen. It's why trying to reschedule cancelled games onto a weekday is hell. In every other sport, it's fine. You can put it whenever you want, wherever you want, because you don't need coaches to be there. But for our sport, if you're trying to tell someone to take, if you tell them today, oh, you got to take this Wednesday off for a game, they're going to be like, what the fuck, man? You've given me 2 days notice. I can't do that. So it's probably, I guess, there probably needs to be more understanding, I guess, within SUs of what, the teams that do very well, and from the SUs that I've spoke to, the teams that do very well have got SUs that are very clued up about how the sport works and what's required. The ones that are at the bottom are the ones that treat it like it's the same as every other sport, which I'm not saying that people should prioritize American football, but there probably needs to be a bit more of an understanding of how the processes work and what extra steps there are in it. That's just my 2 pence as someone that works in an SU.
So again, I think it was a good chat, an actual intellectual part of the show. We don't have those very often.
Right, let's go back into the idiotic part of it.
Let's go back into some shithousery. We're going to pick some games.
Before we do that, just a very quick one. Because we were talking about coaches, it reminded me. Did you see that the Newcastle Raiders former head coach, the guy that got up to the Prem, was like training and coaching with Northumbria? Not the one it was last week or before, and it was like, that's a bit. Hang on. Maybe he's getting back in the game. Who knows? Just thought I'd pass that on.
There's Jamie's attempt to stir the pot for this week.
No, it's good because we've obviously got quite a nice connection with Northumbria and Newcastle, so that I'm interested in that more than probably you two, because he was a nice guy and he knows his stuff.
So before we get into the picks, we're going to go back to classic segment. Let's see what the Bafra News Flash has cooked up for us
Oh
this week.
yes.
So, a couple of suspensions.
Love them.
Let's have a
Well,
look
we
here.
don't love them. We don't love them. That's not
We don't
good,
love
guys.
suspensions.
Doing
Here we go. There was an NTU player suspended against the Jets. No, not against the Jets. He punched someone in the helmet. Always a good sign. And then Hallam, with 2:24 remaining in the game, following a block by an opponent which caused the NTU player to fall to the ground. 57 of Hallam stepped over the prone opponent and proceeded to stamp on him.
right.
Ah, I tell you what, I know that Ndonacom Sue is on Sky Sports, but you don't need to really follow him that well. Bournemouth,
New pitch for Bournemouth. Lovely.
new pitch for Bournemouth, new artificial 100-yarder. Black lines.
Legend has it.
Yeah.
Legend has it that Exeter already owns that pitch. It's crazy.
Bit mad, bit sad. Just gonna have a pop through. Exeter, a very strangely marked field with lines in a total of 3 colours and 5 yards. Red, the short yard line extension sprayed in blue. The latter were clearly sprayed on and not straight, had a maximum of a point or half an inch. No team errors are marked. Awful. Glasgow's pitch has no goalposts, but Glasgow provided one portable goal. Unfortunately, this was deemed unsafe, and the game was played a no-post game. Glasgow's medical cover failed to show up. All attempts to contact them failed. 40 minutes alternative cover was sourced. Awful. Kingston's had a weird one. Medical provision did not arrive. The crew waited until 2. Despite several calls by the game day manager, no cover could be arranged. The goalpost needed to be swung into place. One would not stay. If the game had gone ahead, 1 goal mechanics would have been used. I don't know why that was.
What does that mean? Does that mean you run down to the other end to do your field goals? I'm guessing.
Yep.
That is bonkers. I still don't know why the medic didn't show up, by the way. Alas, that's what happens.
Is anything interesting? I just don't understand why. Field mark. So this is Sterling. Field markings were in blue and very faint. The weather was definitely not the crew's friend, and as such, the wet weather made separating the black and green jerseys more challenging. Despite the conditions, the game was played in good spirits. Gordon Galloway, keep going. We need more ones like that. We need more fun ones where you're just like, yeah, I love the sport. Great game. Beautiful.
Here we go. Worcester Royals, the home team, no Uniball available. Don't know what the plan was there.
Due to the storm damage, some of the changing rooms and several youth rugby games also being played at the time, changing rooms were not immediately available for the officials, and the kickoff was subsequently delayed about 15 minutes. One of the youth on the field used for the game, resulting in a surface that had already been cut up before the game began. That's why you don't win against Boston. No, I'm joking. So we're going to move on to the picks there. Give me more funny ones. This is the Southampton one last year where they said they got sweeties. That was the best one. So we're going to do this nice and quick and get out of your hair for 12. So are we ready? Thinking hats on. Starting off in the Premiership, Loughborough versus Newcastle.
Loughborough.
Yep. Destroyer versus Bullets. How much?
134.
134.
56.
56. I'm going to go 65. Portsmouth are going to be feeling good after it. Actually, big game here. I forgot about this one. We might have to talk about this one. Beckett versus Gold, but played in Leeds.
So Beckett.
Remember, I love this stat line. Last five, that game the home side has won.
Which is why I'm going to go for Nottingham.
Yep, cool.
I'm also going to go for Nottingham.
So am I. Like, both teams have had a strange flex against the Saints, but Yeah. Just weird. Don't do that. One in the Scottish League, probably one of the biggest games, maybe the biggest one in Div 1, the Mavericks versus the Tigers.
Glasgow.
Glasgow.
Really? I'm going to go with Glasgow. I think they're going to be an undercover team. I had to think about that for a second. Hull Sharks versus the Tyrants. Is that?
Manny on the map.
Yeah, Manchester.
They've played like they've got offended after our comments about them on game 1 and have just twatted everyone since.
Yeah. Raptors versus Leeds. Leeds. All Leeds. Demons versus Stags. So Exeter versus Southampton. Exeter.
How much?
Oh, I don't know if we can do a how much. If it was against,
I reckon. We'll do score. How many is score? I reckon Exeter score 42.
42.
I literally had 42 on my tip of my tongue.
Okay.
They've
So
averaged 40
I will go 41 just to try and get that.
I'll go 43. Awful. Hallam versus Warwick, a big rematch. Obviously, last time Warwick shut out Hallam 40-0.
Warwick.
Hallam.
Well, you're funny, aren't you?
I'm going to go with
Hallam
Warwick. I'm going to go with Warwick. I've got no reason not to. The Aberdeen Bulls versus the Edinburgh Open Knights. And I will say, if any of you come at me and say that, oh, game's not on there, these were from Bucks Play. These weren't from Sport Tank. I've been told not to use Sport Tank anymore until Friday when we update the website.
Banned from using your own website.
Gee, not my website. Aberdeen versus Napier.
Napier.
Um,
Lads have a lesson in QB spikes.
Oh, mate, he's definitely had the lesson. I'd be surprised if he didn't.
Yeah.
So, SJ, nice and quiet for this one. Pretty pivotal game here. Brunel versus Oxford.
Brunel.
Can we talk about that division just quickly?
Yes, of course we can. What a fucking shit show.
For the purposes of entertainment, everyone should want a Brunel win. The reason I'm saying that is because then it sets up the final game of the season deciding who wins the division. And I've never had one of those in 7 years. I've always had things either decided by then or, other things happening.
Cool. That works for me. I'll go Brunel. To be
Oh,
fair,
okay.
a battle at the bottom here. I think Coventry need to beat Leicester by, I think it's about 28 points. Coventry stay up. Sorry, Coventry versus Leicester.
Leicester.
I think that's big.
Also,
turn around.
Can I change my Hull prediction, please? I've just realised they're at home and they're currently undefeated at home, so I back them to cause an upset and give Leeds the league title.
Yeah, you're just saying that because hopefully you think Leeds will go a bit easier on you when you've got to play them to stay up in the old Diveroony.
No, me. I'm not playing, am I?
Yeah, but you are in your head. When you go to bed at night, you're playing. Okay, UEA versus Kent. Big rematch, but it doesn't really matter too much anymore.
It was close, wasn't it, last
It
time?
was, yeah.
UEA.
Just based on the Kent KCL game, I'm going to go UEA.
Yeah, I'd love to be on the Kent train here, but
Kent are a good team.
Kent are. I think Kent are going to surprise some people in the playoffs, definitely. But with that walk over, they're not going to be having a home game first round. QMBL versus Essex. QMBL.
It's a bit poverty, really, isn't it?
I know it is, but we got to pick it.
I don't want to pick it because this is the one that's going to be the danger one, isn't it? This is.
I'm going to go Essex just because sorry boys and that.
Fuck. Queen Mary.
I'm tempted to go for Essex.
They played each other yet?
I think so.
Oh.
Let's just check. Hold on, everyone. Pause. Pause.
They haven't. Oh no. Essex.
Christ, if we have a full line sweep for Essex, Jesus wept. in the other Sport Tank live streamed game, Reading versus.
This is to stay up.
This is to stay up, yeah.
Reading. Well, no. If you can be bothered to put it on the graphics, a draw.
Reading. Oh wait, no, I'm not involved.
I can still put it if you want, but
No.
no, okay. Bath Killabees versus Bournemouth. Bournemouth can't be losing to Bristol and expect us to pick you the next week. Then get aggy about it on social media when we don't pick you. Don't lose to the bottom place squad. Moving on to Div 2. Cambridge versus Nottingham.
Why does it say Nottingham at 2-2?
Oh, because I'm thick as fuck. They're not.
I was going to say that's what's going on.
They're not. They're not, so don't worry about it.
I'm going Nottingham anyway.
Yeah, so am I. I'm going to get rid of it because I don't know why I put that. Anyway, they're not. They're undefeated. SJ?
Nottingham.
Yeah. Edgehill versus Kiel. Edgehill.
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 Yeah. Aberystwyth versus the UE Bullets 2s.
Where's it at?
It is at Aberystwyth.
Aberystwyth.
Yeah, them.
I'm going to pick the Bullets. The ARU Siege versus the Lincoln Colonials.
Colonials.
I'm going Lincoln for the first time in history.
Jesus, they're definitely losing. Then. Honestly, I bet both of them both lost. Not welcome back there any longer. Sheffield versus York St. John. Oh, also, everyone apart from Dylan picked York St. John to beat Bradford, and then they just didn't. Boring. I forgot to put that one on there, but yeah.
I'll go Sheffield.
Yeah,
Sheffield.
same. Yep, same. Sunderland versus Bradford. I'm going to go for Bradford.
Bradford.
Sunderland.
Awful pick. The Imperial Immortals versus the Greenwich Mariners.
Imperial.
Greenwich have already got their surprise win of the season out of the way. I think it'll be a nice, easy sweep. Imperial will go straight back up. Sussex versus Oxford Brooks. I want Sussex to win to keep that Super Bowl game nice and tasty.
It will be Sussex because that's the one stat line that Oxford Brooks can't make up.
Yeah, Sussex.
Cool. Sussex. And last, but by no means least, the Sport Tank live stream game of the week, the other one, my one, which is the better one because I'm on it. Gloucester. What?
We've got City and Kingston as well.
Okay, City versus Kingston. That's quite a good game actually.
Kingston.
Is that the Wolf Pack?
It is, mate. Yeah.
Oh, I love the Wolf Pack then, please.
Yeah. Oh, that's a good game.
OGs know it as the Sentinels. Good old days.
I am gonna go with City.
Kingston.
I'm picking City for that one. Last but by no means least, unless anyone's got anyone else to do. It's because I think it's because on the don't worry. Last but by no means least, Sport Tech Live game of the week kickoff at me on mute it if you don't like me, and also if you don't like me while you're watching the show. The Gloucestershire Gladiators hosting, the 3-1 Gloucestershire Gladiators hosting the undefeated Swansea Titans.
Swansea
And Tebs to get punched.
You got to hype the shit out of that just for us both to go straight away without breathing. Swansea.
Yeah, Swan and me together.
I'm not even that invested in it, but I will be remarkably more invested if someone comes and kegs you.
So I've got Swansea and me to get punched. I think that's going to be worth 2.
/kegged.
Kegged. Punched or kegged? So I'm going to put 2 on punched. I'll put 3 on kegged.
Shocking.
So, ladies and gentlemen, we will see you
What
next
would you
week.
do? What would you do if someone did? You're on a stream with your home team, and one of the Swansea players comes and kegs you live on stream.
I think it would depend if my cock and balls came out. If you want a serious answer, it really would depend on
Behind the camera, no one sees it. It's just behind the camera. Would you pretend it didn't happen, or?
What if my cock and balls came out?
But it's not on camera.
I wouldn't be very happy about it. If it's just my underwear, then it's fine. But
This is now a plead to anyone at that game to go and keg him.
please don't. Someone will try it. I'm going to stand far away. I'll have my back up against the wall. But ladies and gentlemen, we will see you next week at probably 6:30 or 7 or 8, probably 6:30, where we will be joined by head coach of the Exeter Demons, Lyden Ward-Best. 2 streams this week. We've got Reading versus Royal Holloway, where that game will determine who goes down from the Southern 1, and the aforementioned Gloucestershire Gladiators versus Swansea Titans pivotal matchup in the Southwest 2. So we will see you next week. Thank you for tuning in. I'd say thank you to Dylan, but he's probably already pissed now on 1 beer. Disgusting. All right, catch you all. Say goodbye, Jamie.